jackets, a bunch of sweaters, layers of clothing. So when we do break the rules, if he does plan to beat us, we can be prepared and ready for war. So when we came home, we saw his car there. We knew, all right, he's about to beat us. So I said, this is the time. Let's put on our armor. Let's put on our clothes. Let's put on these layers of clothing. And then we're going to face him. When we came inside, he was confused, but he was ready to beat us. So he started beating us. And I said, ha ha, we can't feel anything. And he was like, oh my gosh, like these kids are starting to outsmart me. So it wasn't until then that my dad said, you know what? I'm not going to beat y'all anymore. I'm just going to take things away. And hey, you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lala's Journey. And today I'm going to get into the generational curses in the Black household that I feel should be erased. So, number one, spare the rod for the child. This mentality, this approach on disciplining kids, it's got to stop. Like, it's really not effective, honestly. And before you come for me, before you get upset, I didn't realize how ineffective this was until I had my daughter. You know, there was a time that I did try to spank my daughter when she would act up in public and all of this. But honestly, it just made her much more upset. And it posed the question on, should I hit her harder? And then I started to feel abusive, reactive, like someone who's not able to self-regulate my emotions. Because does it make me upset and embarrassed when she's having a temper tantrum in public? Yes. Are there other ways to discipline your child? Yes. Now, let's talk about gentle parenting. People think gentle parenting means permissive parenting, like you just let anything just happen. You don't try to discipline them at all. No, that's not what I'm discussing. What I'm talking about is other creative methods of disciplining your child and disciplining them in a way where life would also discipline them. To me, beating your child every time they do something is not realistic as to how life will discipline them. Because in life, if you do something wrong, is somebody going to hit you every time you do something wrong in life? No, they're not. In life, most of your problems happen because most of the issues we're facing in life is critical. You have to use your critical thinking skills. As an adult, you have to use your critical thinking skills to solve an issue. So to me, I think beating your child, it puts them in this fight or flight mode where they don't respect you, but they're actually afraid of you. You know? And it's also a short-term method that you have to keep using over and over again. And to me, it's just draining. It's draining. I feel like kids are brought in this world to actually help you grow as well as an adult. So I didn't realize that I was so reactive until I had my daughter, because my dad used to try to beat me when I did something wrong. So in my situation, I was like, okay, when she makes me upset and when she's not doing something correctly or she's throwing a temper tantrum, I should maybe do the same thing. But it made me realize that my dad didn't know what the hell he was doing. I don't think my dad knew what he was doing until he tried different parenting methods. Because for me, I was too creative of a child for you to just keep beating me and think that it's gonna work. I would run away from him and not come back home until late night. Just camp out in front of the house. There was one time he told me not to go to a summer camp, not a summer camp, a summer party where they had like the pool. They have summer parties in America where people go to the pool. There's everyone there in the neighborhood. I said, I'm not going to miss this. So what I did was I said, Livion, let's get a bunch of sweaters, jackets. This is my brother, Livion. I tell him, let's get a bunch of jackets, a bunch of sweaters, layers of clothing. So when we do break the rules, if he does plan to beat us, we can be prepared and ready for war. So when we came home, we saw his car there. We knew, all right, he's about to beat us. So I said, this is the time. Let's put on our armor. Let's put on our clothes. Let's put on these layers of clothing. And then we're going to face him. When we came inside, he was confused, but he was ready to beat us. So he started beating us. And I said, ha ha, we can't feel anything. And he was like, oh my gosh, like these kids are starting to outsmart me. So it wasn't until then that my dad said, you know what? I'm not going to beat y'all anymore. I'm just going to take things away. And I was like, this is smart. This is intelligent. Like now I started really respecting my father as a parent, as a leader, because in this moment, he's using his critical thinking skills to say, why waste my energy? You know, like they're finding creative ways to get around the whoopings. After a while, the whoopings don't even hurt the kids, honestly. But if you're just going to beat them harder and harder, it's actually taking energy from you. It's actually not helping you grow as a person, as a spirit, as a, you know, like it's not. So, what I do with my daughter, the methods that I use, number one, elimination. I take things away. This is what worked for me. You know, I don't want him to take away my games, my toys. So I would listen. This is what life will actually teach you. If you don't listen, I'll take away your freedom. I'll take away the things that you love. This is something that life will actually apply to you. So instead of beating them, which life won't do, life will beat you in different ways. Like, yeah, you may lose your freedom, but that's not actually, somebody's not beating you. They're taking away your freedom. That's what most people are afraid of in this world. So I take away the things that brings her joy. You know, so this is one method that I use. Another method I use is a deflection method. You know, if she wants stimulation, like say she wants some juice, which has sugar in it, and I don't want her to have that sugar. While she's crying, instead of stimulating her mouth and her taste buds, what I'm going to do in this moment is distract her from another stimulation. As a 2-year-old, hasn't really like, her brain hasn't developed, so she hasn't caught on to this method as the older kids would. So this is not something that may work for older kids. I'm not sure. I'm speaking of someone who's a parent of a soon to be 3-year-old. But with my daughter, what I do is if she wants sugar in that moment, what I would say is, I seen a horse or I seen a cat, because she loves horses. She loves cats. She loves animals. So I would distract her with a possible visual stimulation in that moment. And I would tell her like, Kari, I just seen a cat. And she would just stop crying. And she would look around like, where's the cat? And now she's searching for this visual stimulation. And she just quickly just forgot that she wanted juice and sugar, you know? So this is a way smarter method, way more effective method. People naturally want stimulation. But if you distract them from one stimulation with the next, you don't have to beat their ass. Like beating their ass in that moment is not going to help them. It's not. Because they still want to be stimulated. And now you're just making them angry. You know, so I think this is a more intelligent parenting method. Another method that I use is if she goes out and she throws a temper tantrum, what I would do is say, if we're headed to go get some food and she wants something else, like we were gonna go get fish, right? And when we go get fish, she gets to play with the kids around the area, right? So I go to charge my phone next door where they have candy. She wants this candy. She starts throwing a temper tantrum. So in this moment, I'm like, she's a kid. She can't process her emotions fully. So why would I beat her? What I would tell her is, listen, there's a consequence when you don't listen to your mother who knows best. So if I tell you, no, you can't have this sugar, and you refuse to listen, what I would do in that moment is say, you don't listen, we can go home right now. Let's go. And she knows that if we go home, she doesn't get to play with her friend. So it's silence. I don't know what will work for your children, but this works for me. And breaking generational curses comes with being creative, using your critical thinking skills, not getting so upset when they make you upset. Because what you will start to realize is your parents beating your ass really didn't help you. All it taught you was you don't know how to self-regulate your emotions. Because when your kids make you mad, the first thing you do is beat their ass. So is this really something that's like helping you? Or it just correlates with what you've been through? Is it really helping your child? You got to ask yourself, is this helping them become a leader? Because there are adults right now that if they're in a stressful situation, they don't know how to cope. Because every time they've had to deal with stress as a child, they've had their ass beat and their mouth silenced. So when they become adults, they don't know how to speak up. They don't know how to express their emotions. They don't know how to deal with a stressful situation. So if you want your kids to be leaders, leaders have to use critical thinking skills. So if you beat them every time, they have to use this part of their brain, the left side of their brain, which is the analytical side. You have to ask yourself, is this helping them become that leader that I want them to be? Absolutely not. What it's going to cause them to do is freeze up during a moment of stress. And I heard this girl say that when she goes out in Ghana, she'll ask him to do the simplest thing. And there's a line of people and they just freeze up. And I'm like thinking to myself, nah, I don't think it's because they're mentally challenged or slow. I think what it is trauma playing itself out in that moment. It's someone who had their ass beat or had themselves or were criticized in a moment where they had to be a leader. So when there's a line and there's this, this causes stress, and during that stress they freeze up and they don't know what to do next because they've never been faced with this freedom to choose, and be able to self-regulate and use their critical thinking skills in this stressful moment. So yeah, this is a generational curse that needs to stop. Stop being lazy. Stop doing what your parents did. Try to be creative. Try to think like, what is actually going to help your kids? What is going to help them learn? Can they apply this in real life? Because nobody's going to spank your kid with a whip and a belt when they do wrong or when they're stressed out. That's not real life. So it's just, to me, it's not effective. But if there's something you choose to do, what I would advise you to do is try to make that your last resort. Don't just beat them, because what you have to ask yourself is like, is it me who has a problem with self-regulation? Is it me? Yeah. Hello. The next thing that needs to be deleted is living in fear. Living in fear. This is something that I know for a fact was replicated since slavery. Because when you look at the plantation, right, people are afraid to leave the plantation. They're afraid to go outside of the norm, you know, um, in fear of criticism, in fear of being ostracized by your community, in fear of the what ifs, you know. And honestly, this is something that I only see in the black household, in the black community. I don't see this in white households. Like white parents, they actually encourage their kids to go out and take risks, to go and travel the world, to go and do something outside of the norm than what their family has done. They don't have these traditions that people follow, like these harmful traditions. Every tradition isn't harmful, but you living in fear is definitely something that needs to be erased. For example, I remember my dad telling me, like, I remember I got a scholarship to New York, and one thing that black parents make the where black parents make the mistake is like already writing out, already like have an idea and a vision of what they want their kids to be, where they want them to go, what they want them to do. Like, I think my dad already had my life planned out before I even figured out my life. But because I was a rebel, I didn't go down that lane. My brother and my sister, I think they followed what he told them to do, what he advised them to do. And me, I was the one who more so stepped out on faith and said, nah, I'm going to go where I want to go. Like, this is life. I'm meant to live it. So when I got a scholarship in New York, and I was being offered a scholarship at a huge business school in New York, Baruch College. And I was supposed to go there and play basketball, which I did. But when I was visiting the school to meet everyone, meet the coach, meet the people, my dad was like, you know, this is just a vacation, right? I'm like, you're crazy as hell. I don't know what would make him say that, but it's fair. It's fair. It's nothing but fair. Like, he's like, oh, I don't think you can handle New York, but this is something he has done. But he doesn't think that I can handle it, you know? And it's like, why? Don't you have confidence in me? You know? So, yeah, even when I was going to California, and he was like, oh, no, don't go there, don't go there. You know? And I see now this is something that he instilled in my siblings. Like, they've been living in the same neighborhood, the same town their whole lives. They've never traveled outside because they've always followed what he told them to do. And I'm not saying don't follow the good advice that your parents give you, but everything that your parents tell you to do is not good advice. You should take risk. You should step out on faith. You should not be scared to leave your plantation. You know, and you living in your box is like a plantation. You know, a bird in a cage will think the birds in the sky are crazy. But I'm not confined to a cage. And stop confining your kids and your family to this cage. Because what I realize in black households is like, when you step out on faith, you may be ostracized by your family because you're actually the one breaking that generational curse. You may be judged, you know? And then as soon as you make it, oh, we believed in you the whole time. No, you didn't. You didn't. You know, and I forgive my family, regardless of how they're doubting me. Like me being here in Africa, like my sibling, he didn't want me to come out here. You know, oh, this may happen, this may happen, this may happen. They tell you about all the doubts. You know, all the possible negative outcomes that may happen from you just stepping out on faith, stepping out on a risk. And I see that it doesn't just exist in America, it exists here in Africa as well. I remember telling this Ghanaian guy, like, certain businesses that you can start here. And he was just telling me about all the possible things that can go wrong, all the people that can copy your ideas and this and that. And I'm just like, bro, stop. And this is something that is prevalent amongst the Black community all over the world. It's something that needs to stop because it's stopping us from being who we're really meant to be in this world. God did not make us to be confined in a cage, to stay in your hometown and never go anywhere else, to not try a different type of occupation than everyone else. I remember my dad was like, "Oh, you should finish college. You should do this. You should." And it's like, yeah, that's good advice, but not everybody is meant for college. And it wasn't until I started making six figures from selling clothes that he was like, "You know what? I don't think college is meant for you." And I'm like, now you say, like I've been telling you this. So, it's just like fair. It's something that's instilled in us from the slave masters, like instilling fair in us. And it's a tradition, it's a mindset that needs to be erased. Another thing that needs to be erased is a tradition of staying together for the kids. I don't know who you think you're staying together for, but if the household is toxic, which it will be if you're forcing the relationship, it's not helping the kids. Stop staying in marriages out of a tradition of what? Like I don't get where this tradition comes from. Like, it's so many people that brag, "Oh, we've been together for 10, 15 years and you're not happy. You're not happy." And even though you say you're doing it for the kids are not stupid. They can read energy. Like a kid is much more happy seeing two separately happy individuals than being in a toxic situation. Stop saying you're staying together for the kids. You're staying together out of fear of being criticized by your community. You're staying with your husband because you're afraid to look like a single mother. They shame single mothers so much, but can you blame a woman for wanting to be a single mother when the relationship is toxic? Wouldn't you rather her be single and happy if she's happy? And honestly, a lot of single mothers are not happy because they feel this sense of lack because they tell us like you're not whole without a man. And in the African household, I know that a lot of people stay married because of tradition. They're afraid to be judged, and it's funny, in the Black American household, it wasn't until I became a single mother that I realized like there are a lot of married single mothers, and they're taking on the toll of the kids. The husband is like a kid as well to a lot of women. And I'm not going to say there aren't healthy Black families. There are many healthy Black families in America and in Africa. But I'm speaking of the people who are actually not happy and they're so-called staying together for the family. You're not favoring your family by staying in a toxic situation that God did not put together. Just because you chose to marry each other doesn't mean God put you together. People marry for different reasons: convenience, tradition, whatever. I don't know. But you're not doing this for your kids. It's not in favor of your kids. It's not in favor of you. They're not stupid. It's actually causing them more pain than it is causing them any happiness. So this is something that has to stop. Like, white people divorce all the time and they have healthy co-parent situations. And it works for the kids and their well-being and their mental health. So this is a Black thing. Staying together for the family. I only hear that in Black households. Like, what? No, you're not. This is not in favor of the children at all. At all. So when I realized that things were going to be toxic between my daughter's dad and I decided to leave. And yes, it's a challenge. But the main challenge for me is not seeing myself as a victim. You know, I'm not a victim. I'm a mother. I love being a mother. Yes, there's times where I may want extra help and things like that, but was me staying with her father going to do me any better? Yeah, someone would say choose better, but honestly, you don't know what type of man you're with or woman you're with until you have kids sometimes. You know, so this is a mentality that has to stop. Sometimes things don't work out. It's okay to walk away, you know? So, yeah, like staying together for the family, it's not helpful at all. It's not helpful at all. It actually causes more harm than good. So this is something that I feel should definitely stop. The next generational curse that I think should be erased from the Black community is the fear of going to therapy. Every Black person should be in therapy. Everyone talking about, oh, we should receive reparations. You need reparational therapy. With all the stuff that we've been through generation after generation since slavery, you know, everyone needs therapy, Black men and Black women. Because getting handed, if you want reparations, all right, cool. But that's really just going to put a Band-Aid on stuff. You know, if you get reparations and you haven't first fixed the root of the issue, which is the mental health of the Black community, is it really helping you? Is it really helping you? Because we have issues amongst Black women and Black men that need to be healed. It needs to be healed. And coming here to Africa, it sort of is like a mini therapy, you know, just looking out at this beach and being in this type of environment. And being in this environment, it makes me a lot more healed than I was in America. It makes me be able to reflect a lot more. But we actually need mentors, therapists in the Black community. And people need to stop being afraid of going to therapy. Because we absolutely need therapy. Like, if we were to receive reparations right now, that's not going to change the self-hate that we have for ourselves. That's not going to change the division that we've caused, that were caused amongst us. You know, that's not going to change the fact that Black men and Black women now hate each other. That's not going to do anything. People are just going to blow through the money as soon as they get it. So that's why they're offering you reparations instead of offering mental health therapy. That's what they need to offer, that on top of the reparations. Because we've suffered mentally for the past 400 years. People need therapy first, then the reparations. But they know the root of the issue is mental slavery. This is what needs to be fixed. Are they going to address that? Absolutely not. It's something we have to address amongst ourselves. You know, so, yeah. Therapy is something that needs to be, the fear of therapy needs to go away. Completely. It's not a white people thing. Actually, they need less therapy than we do. When white people go to therapy, they go into therapy for their individual situations, you know, and yeah, we need individual therapy, but we also need group therapy. I see this as group therapy, you know, but there are issues that we have in our individual lives that have been caused from slavery and generational curses that needs to be healed. And I'm not saying go to a white therapist because they won't even know how to relate to you. I'm saying go to a Black therapist. There are many people who are who have gotten to the field of therapy because they're inspired in helping the inspired by helping the Black community. So yeah, this is something. The fear of therapy needs to be erased from the Black community. All right. So another thing, another generational curse that needs to be erased from the Black community is sweeping issues under the rug. Sweeping issues under the rug. And this is the main reason why people need therapy. This is the main reason, because whether someone's molested, whether there is issues in a marriage, people just sweep the issue under the rug and not actually addressing the main issue. I remember I was molested and my family asked me, did it happen? And that was it. They said he would get arrested. He was molesting many other girls in the church, and I was like, damn, like nobody came to me and said like talk to me. Nobody put me in therapy. We just swept it under the rug. And honestly, it's not helpful. It's not helpful. And things like this happen in households where the dad is molesting the daughter, or there are many instances where things are just swept under the rug. And this is something that needs to stop. It has to stop, because it's just putting a Band-Aid on the issue. It's not actually addressing the issue at hand and fixing it. And that's why it continues to be a generational curse. So that's the next generational curse that needs to be erased. Erased. And it comes with accountability. Accountability, Another generational curse that needs to be erased is the accountability as not holding men accountable, not holding Black men accountable. This needs to stop. Like, when you look on social media, on YouTube, all you see is this red pill community bashing women. It's even become so bad that now the women have tagged along to bash the Black women, as if Black women make these mistakes on our own. I know that Black women have issues in the Black community, of course. But who is our counterpart? Who are our counterparts? Black men. It's gotten so bad that now white women are starting to speak out and see what we're talking about when it pertains to this. I think in Black households, Black men are coddled a lot more than Black women. And since a lot of Black men are being raised by single mothers, they see their mother as an issue instead of seeing their sex as an issue. Because I feel as if if they were to say, oh, the man who ran away from my mother is an issue, they say the mother is an issue. The mother caused all this trauma for me. The mother did all these wrong things, instead of looking at the other equal part of the issue. And I'm not saying that the women are wrong, especially when they abuse their kids because they're angry because they're a single mother or whatever. Like, the men should be held equally accountable. Even when Black men cheat, Black women are getting all the blame. Black men get absolutely no blame. It's really creating this misogynistic culture where Black men hate Black women. And here in Africa, I see that things are not equal when it comes to the rights that certain sexes have. The men are being favored. And this also creates a different type of misogynistic environment, where if you ask these men, do you want a son or you want a daughter? They'll tell you, I want a son. Why? Because they don't want to be treated like these women. They know that women aren't favored. Yeah, so it's just something that it has to stop. Like, it has to stop, because once again, we're not getting to the root of the issue. Black women have issues just as equally as black men have issues. But black women are getting all the blame on social media, and it's just sad to see, because now black women are starting to date outwards, and I see black men trying to do the same thing, but it's silly. Like, you're really just running away from the issues, because when I see black women dating out now and black men dating out, it's really like a deflection. And it seems like they can't stop talking about black women or black men once y'all date out. And the main reason that is because you love black women, you love black men, but you can't understand that you're an equal part of the issue. So, and that there are things that you need to hold accountable within yourself. So you're just saying, okay, I'm going to date out. But you can't seem to stop obsessing over discussing black women. We are like the most talked about on YouTube right now. And it's even gotten to the point where, like I said, other races are starting to defend us. Because I'm not saying we don't have issues. Yeah, there are issues. But black men have just as much of an issue. It's just that no one is holding them accountable. No one. So this is something that has to stop. So that's all I have to say for today, you guys. Like I said, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here reflecting on problems that I see within the black community and generational curses that need to be stopped. So if you guys enjoy this content, let me know. If you have any video suggestions for me, please leave a comment below. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell below for more videos like this. All right, thank you. One love.